Hey guys, my name's Jono. I'm a former lawyer turned full-time filmmaker based in Sydney, Australia. Now, I recently had a catch-up call with one of our one-on-one coaching students, Mike from New Jersey, USA. Mike was actually one of the first students to join our one-on-one coaching program when we first launched back in February 2024. When I met Mike over a year ago, he had just quit his 9-to-5 corporate marketing job to pursue his videography business full-time. Like me, when I was working full-time as a lawyer in the corporate world, Mike had been doing videography as a side hustle for a few years now until he finally decided to take the leap of faith and go all in.
I had this company as a side business to kind of keep me involved in sports while I was working for this corporate marketing position. And so essentially, like I used this side business and I went full time into it. And that was October 23. I had three clients. One was my neighbor's company, working with them as a freelancer. One was with another friend's company, covering a bunch of sporting events. And then the third one was a food photography and videography company who I was freelancing for them as well. Those are the three clients we were kind of working with. So nothing really like was my own business. It was all people provided, like freelancing for them.
Fast forward 12 months, Mike has successfully made the transition from his corporate 9-to-5 job into running his videography business full time. He's not only survived his first 12 months of business, but it's fair to say he's thriving. Mike has managed to build some really key long-term client relationships that's really going to set his videography business up for success going forward.
The biggest win for us, I think, is being in business for over a year. Recently, we made one of our biggest sales with a salon group. They have multiple locations in the state of New Jersey. We're handling a lot of their marketing efforts. So that's $24,000 over the next 6 months. It's been a foundational piece now to the success of my company, and it's going to allow me to grow even more so.
As someone who has made a similar transition in my life, going from a corporate 9-to-5 to running my videography business full time, it's incredibly fulfilling being able to help Mike make a similar transition in his life. And so in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys my key takeaways from my recent catch up with Mike. If you're working a 9-to-5 and you have aspirations to one day pursue videography full time, make sure you keep watching because this video is for you. Takeaway number 1, why do you want to make the jump? A few videos ago, I talked about this concept called the change formula. It suggests that in order for successful change to happen, you need 3 things. A dissatisfaction with your current state, so you're not particularly happy with where you're currently at. Number 2 is a vision for the future. You have an idea as to where you want to go. And number 3 is clear first steps that you can take towards that vision. You need these 3 things to outweigh the resistance to change, because change is hard. As humans, we are naturally opposed to change. We'd rather stay within our comfort zone, even when that comfort zone doesn't necessarily serve us. For Mike, when he was working his corporate marketing position, he had a dissatisfaction with his current state.
I was tired of really like working for someone else, and I wanted my successes and my failures to be me. I wanted to be fully reliant on that and not have someone like working on someone else's agenda. Kind of like my whole belief in life really is I want to do the things I'm passionate about, and it's hard to do that when you're working for someone else. So for me, it was really allow me to now control what I want to do and what I want to be involved in and who I want to be involved with.
Mike wanted more autonomy in his life, and he had this vision of building a profitable and sustainable videography business that would allow him to work on projects and with clients that he was passionate about. But the problem was he had no idea what first steps to take towards that vision.
Just not knowing where to go, though, I think it was the biggest thing. Like I was really just in a place of like, how do I grow? How do I do what's the next step to do this right?
Takeaway number 2, overcoming imposter syndrome. Being able to speak to a lot of our subscribers one-on-one through our coaching program, I've come to realize that imposter syndrome is probably the biggest number 1 factor that holds people back in their videography journey. This constant feeling of, am I good enough? There's so many amazing filmmakers and content creators already out there. Why would anyone want to work with me? And Mike was no different. When he made that jump from his corporate 9-to-5 job into running his business full time, imposter syndrome smacked him in the face.
One, I didn't really believe in myself because I'd seen so many other people who I thought were really great, graphic designers, photographers, videographers. They'd left like working in sports to do their own thing, and they came back to working for teams and working for someone else because they couldn't, whatever reasons, they just, being on their own wasn't successful for them. And so it made me nervous, and it kind of, the imposter syndrome really like hit me hard there. Like, and it's comparing myself constantly against those, and it's trying to grow past that. And that was definitely one of the biggest hurdles to overcome initially.
I can absolutely relate to Mike here. I still remember when I first made the jump from my corporate 9 to 5 into full-time entrepreneurship. My first networking event, I was faced with a heavy sense of imposter syndrome. The room was filled with all these experienced business owners, most of them in their 40s and 50s. And here I was, a 27-year-old who had just quit his job trying to start his own business. I still remember that first event I went to. I had to stand up for 30 seconds in front of everyone to talk about my business. And I kid you not, I'm surprised I didn't faint right there on the spot. So no matter what stage you are at in your videography journey, I hope you can find some comfort in knowing that imposter syndrome happens to everyone. But let's hear from Mike as to how he managed to overcome his sense of imposter syndrome over time.
I was just meeting with a big time, like a celebrity hairdresser today. They were doing an education class. And one of his points that he made was like, ultimately, like, people want to spend money with people. Like, yeah, you could be like an average hairdresser, he said, but like, if you just create this incredible experience with your customer and your client, like, they're going to want to come back for more. Like, if you're an okay videographer, like, that's fine. Just own that and be the best person you can be in these relationships and create them so people want to work with you. And that's the most important thing. You might think like in the videography world that you're average, but to some of these people out there in these businesses, like, you're gonna blow them away. And just take the chance, take the faith, and dive into it.
I love this piece of advice because it's the same mindset that we adopted when we first got started to overcome our imposter syndrome. Back when we first started videography in 2019 with a $500 camera and a kit lens, let's be honest, our videos were not great. There were a lot of filmmakers and content creators out there producing way better quality work than us. But clients still enjoyed working with us and came back for more because we focused on providing an amazing experience each time. Use the competition as a source of creative inspiration, not as a source of comparison. That's why I always say, focus on being kind to people, produce good work, and things will naturally fall into place, because at the end of the day, people do business with people. Takeaway number 3, the importance of self-awareness. Having been in business now for 2 to 3 years, I've come to realize that everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses. As Gary Vee says, it's really important to deploy a sense of self-awareness because everyone's naturally going to be good at certain things. Getting to know Mike on a deeper level, he is a super personable and down-to-earth guy. He's really good at genuinely connecting with people and building meaningful relationships. So it made sense to use this strength of his to grow his videography business.
Like, you realize with me, like, that connecting with people was something I was a strong suit. So you created a strategy to have this be a major portion of how I generate business. You guys told me to join BNI, and that was the biggest success in my business. I didn't know anyone in this community. I didn't know anyone in this area. And it really allowed me to not only like just meet like-minded people, like, and that was huge because now there's people who actually are invested in my success, not just only as a business for their group, but they want to see me be success because they like me as a person. So that was really the big thing for me. Like, you guys really provided me with systems that were going to work for me and unique to my business. I appreciated that. You could have easily just plugged me into an automated system and press play, but it felt unique to me, and it allowed me to really feel like you guys are invested in what I was doing.
When Mike started putting himself out there, he tried a bunch of different marketing activities, from reaching out to strangers, posting on social media, attending networking events, but he found himself naturally drawn to networking. He loved meeting and connecting with new people, and it was producing results. So he decided to double down and focus on that rather than trying to force himself to do things that he didn't enjoy. So that's why I tell our students, when it comes to putting yourself out there, try a bunch of different things first, find out what you enjoy doing and what's working, and then double down and focus on that. Now, a lot of people are skeptical of networking and they say that it doesn't work. A lot of people have this preconception of networking as just these events where you rock up, you try to exchange as many business cards as possible and try to push your services onto other people. And frankly, to be honest with you guys, this is what I initially thought of networking as well before I decided to try to learn the skill of networking. And so I also asked Mike for his perspective on networking based on his own experiences.
Networking, just like everything else, is a practiced skill. I plan and I organize. So when I do these networking events, like, I know who's going to be there and I have a plan of how I'm going to talk to these people. So there's a reason and a purpose. While I might not be trying to sell them, like I might know things about them, so I can have a conversation with them. But networking to me, like it's truly a practice skill. It's always going to help your business because brand awareness is huge. If no one knows you exist, like how are you going to get more business? It's not the only way to be successful. Like don't get me wrong, but to say it doesn't work like is not true.
Bonus takeaway, you're going to feel like giving up. I'd be lying to you if I told you that quitting your job to start your own business was easy. You see so many people on social media quitting their jobs and trying to start their own thing, and you might think that it's the cool thing to do. But having made that transition myself over the last few years, I can tell you that it's not for everyone. There's going to be really difficult moments of self-doubt, and there's going to be times where you're going to feel like giving up and going back to the comfort of a 9-to-5 job. I know, because if I'm being honest with you, that feeling still crops up to me on a monthly basis.
December and January this year were tough. They were slow. It really was like, am I doing this right still? But I doubled down on the things that you guys taught me, the networking, and not only just where I was initially with Mind Being, when I was going to other chapters, I was going to other networking groups, I joined other networking groups. I continue to do that. I hired someone to run my social media because I understood that I need to be better there. I invested more time into it. And now because of that, I've seen more success. It really allowed me to take that time where it was slower in January and just get out and meet a ton of people and generate so many different leads and so many different opportunities. And because of that, we're bigger than ever, and we're continuing to grow. The proposals we're putting out are bigger. It's kind of a really exciting.
When you're faced with adversity in life, you have two options. You can either curl up in a ball and give up, or you can choose to fight back. And I love Mike's mindset here. That December and January period is notoriously known for being a really slow period because people are on their Christmas break. If you watch our monthly income breakdown video, which I'll link in the description box down below if you're interested, that December period is not pretty. But instead of freaking out and giving up, I love how Mike was able to just calm down and refocus back on the basics that brought him success initially. And that is why I always talk about the importance of tracking your progress.
You know, the big thing that working with you guys taught me was to track all my stats and my leads and meetings and one-to-ones and everything that I do, my business, to track it, to take notes on it, because then I was able to go back and see where I was having successes and refocus in on that stuff. And that's where I was able to then go when I had the slow time to go and be more successful, like to try to generate more business from these things that I was having success with, rather than trying to, continue to fight against the current with these things that maybe weren't working. I was able to then know and learn from it rather than trying to figure it out all over again.
Track the people that you reach out to, track your client projects, and track the marketing activities that you do each week. Because that's what actually allows you to look back and see what's working and what's not working. I always say what gets tracked gets grown, and I'm glad that Mike was able to take this learning to overcome his moment of adversity. If you are interested in some of the tracking templates we personally use in our own videography business, go check out our 6-figure filmmaker starter kit. The kit contains a range of templates that help us keep track of things such as our client outreach, our client projects, and also our weekly marketing activities. Not only that, but it also contains the roadmap, tools, and other templates that we use to go from complete beginners back in 2019 to running a multi-6-figure videography business. So go check that out, link in the description box down below. Now, before we ended the catch-up call with Mike, I asked him for one final piece of advice. For someone who is working a 9-to-5 and is looking to pursue videography full-time down the track, what would you tell them? And this is what he had to say.
It's probably the same piece of advice that a friend of mine gave me. I mentioned to him that I wasn't thrilled with my 9-to-5. I wasn't thrilled with my corporate job. And he's like, then quit. He's like, because he started his own running club and he had it as a side business, just like I had. He's like, I never was able to grow because I wasn't able to invest time into it. And he says, once I quit, I was able to invest so much more time and so much more energy into it. And it allowed me to have it grow and be successful. And it's the same thing that happened to me. Like once I was no longer working there anymore, and I was able to focus on my business fully, it was able to grow. I was able to put more energy into it, more time into it, and because of that, it was able to have more success into it. You're going to keep it as a side business or keep it as a dream. That's all it's ever going to stay as, and unless you take the risk and jump into it, you're never going to know.
And so I hope you found Mike's story of transitioning from a corporate 9 to 5 job to running his videography business full-time inspirational, and hopefully you can draw some golden nuggets from his story and apply it to your own journey. A big thank you to Mike for sharing his story with this community and for being part of our story. Mike was the first one to give us a chance when we launched our coaching program back in February 2024, and I'm proud to call him a dear friend of ours now. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for staying until the very end of this video. If you are interested in applying for one-on-one coaching, I'll leave a link in the description box down below. If you are a beginner who's looking to take your videography to the next level, make sure you also check out links to our free resources down below, to our free 7-day videography email crash course, our creator kit, which contains our pre-production templates, and also our free S-Log Lite. Anyways, that's it from me. Go check out this video here on how I became a videographer in 3 months. I'll see you in the next video. Stay focused.